All right. Moving into the 40s, one of the most debated and discussed players in the lead up to this season, Gabriel Davis, is being drafted on average 43rd overall. Terry McLaurin, one spot behind that at 44. And for good measure, we're going to complicate this one. We're going to throw in possibly another polarizing option in Diontae Johnson with an ADP of 46. So you have Gabriel Davis 43, Terry McLaurin 44, Deontay Johnson 46. This is the one and only three-man ADP battle we'll be doing. Kyle, how do you sort this one out?
I think probably the right answer is Gabe Davis. The best ball teams I have drafted would say it's Gabe Davis. But for me, I think Diontae Johnson actually is sort of the Pittman thing. I think I know my answer. I can tell you my teams have a right answer. But I do want to try and get back in on Diontae, especially with the way, I feel more confident now. I felt a little sweaty with any of my Diontae teams already when all the camp reports were like, oh, Mason Rudolph might be the number 2. Kenny Pickett looking sus. And Kenny Pickett, he just honestly has lit it up during his 2 preseason games. I believe he scored twice in the first one. Then he led a really good, just like throwing darts 2-minute drill on the second one. Threw 2 touchdowns, one of which was called back. Then he immediately goes out and just throws the touchdown again. So he looks good. He looks like the real deal. I don't think he's elite, but Ben Roethlisberger certainly wasn't elite. And Diontae Johnson's role on this offense, I understand it had to be in some sense fueled by Ben Roethlisberger's inability to throw deep, because Diontae Johnson is a really good player on short and intermediate stuff. But players who do what he did don't just disappear, I would imagine. He was top 5 in targets per route run, i.e. anytime he was out there running a route, he was getting targeted on them at one of the highest rates, like higher than Justin Jefferson and Tyreek Hill, true superstars. And he was earning targets on that level. And he can be a deep receiver. I don't think he's the team's number 1 deep receiver, but he led them in deep targets last year. He was top 2 on the team in deep targets each of the 2 years before that. So it's not like Najee Harris, where I think if the targets go farther down the field, that is just straight up bad for Najee Harris. He's almost no running back is getting targets down the field. And if they are, it's really an Eckler or an Aaron Jones or a McCaffrey. It's not quite to Najee's level as a receiver talent, right? Diontae Johnson has shown an ability to earn targets deep too. So I think he can operate at all portions of the field. Is there some part he is better at? Yeah, and it's short. But he's not drawing dead if they decide to push the ball a little farther down the field. And his ability to draw targets on an offense that could improve under Kenny Pickett, I think is worth considering. I'm going to take a really talented looking receiver with Josh Allen. But if Diontae Johnson goes out and is like an elite target earner on an offense that surprises us, that wouldn't surprise me, frankly.
Lawrence, hit it.
All right, I win. Fine. Deal.
Yeah.
All right. So who'd you go with?
Gabe Davis.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I liked it. I liked it. It's like, okay, but Kyle, who did you pick? Because you made like.
I have to guess that Gabe Davis will get picked on one of the next 2 people, and I don't want this to all be like us patting each other on the backs, like, oh man.
I can assure you, I'm not about to pat you on the back right here.
Well, if I had taken the player,
I might drop kick you in the back right now.
Wow.
Listen, that Gabe Davis, right? Out of these 3 players, first off, let's just take all the situations out of it. Gabe Davis is easily, like, when you rank these 3, he's 3 far and away, just as football players. That's one. You can attach the Gabe Davis to a hot air balloon and let that fly up into the clouds, which is where everybody's head is at when it comes to this, right? Diontae Johnson, we all agree that Big Ben wasn't really much last year. Despite that, Diontae Johnson was still able to finish as a top 10 receiver, wide receiver 8, I believe. We got Terry McLaurin coming in here. He's finally, we just talked about Carson Wentz, but we'll talk about Carson Wentz in a better light now, as in the fact that he's the best quarterback that Terry McLaurin has had.
It's all relative.
Yeah, right. We'll show Carson Wentz some love in this fashion. He's the best quarterback that Terry McLaurin has ever had. And, he's been consistent, getting us those near 1,100 yards 3 straight years. Then we got Gabe Davis over here. Just, who's just going to play little third, little fiddle to the slot guy. Look out for Isaiah McKenzie, by the way. That's who I like even later. That's why Josh Allen loves that slot. That's who I like. So if the guy I would go with here out of this group, I'm definitely going to pick not Gabe Davis. Give me Diontae Johnson once Kenny Pickett get in there.
Yeah, I need a screen grab of Kerrane's face a second ago. That was.
I almost put it in like our private chat that Kerrane makes the
back.
goofy YouTube thumbnail face.
I did do a thumbnail face. My mouth was not agape, so it doesn't. It wouldn't.
We're gonna
be,
have to go
rejected.
back and get that.
Yeah, but outside of that,
carry on.
I mean, I think maybe. So first of all, I believe I heard that everything that happened last year might not happen this year, right? We can look forward.
You're right.
Look
You're
forward, right?
You're right.
I know Deontay Johnson had a lot of targets. I know Terry McLaurin, he's had a pretty good career. Gabe Davis may be held down by the fact that Emmanuel Sanders was in the deep threat role for the Bills. We think, the secondary role for the Bills is really the slot guy. You really want to be Cole Beasley. That's who you want to be when you play with Josh Allen. What if you're good and you play on the outside and you play a deep threat role? If you're good and you do that, maybe you go nuclear against the Chiefs. Maybe that's what happens. Maybe if you actually get played and you have a 17 ADOT, you go nuts and you destroy fantasy football. I don't know. It seems possible. You're playing with Josh Allen as his primary deep threat. It seems kind of exciting. So I'm in on Gabe Davis. He would be my choice there. But I will say, Deontay Johnson, with the Kenny Pickett stuff, I'm with you, Kyle. I mean, I'm starting to get a little bit more bullish on this offense. The critique of Kenny Pickett is that he tends to be like one read and then he scrambles. That's what some of the beat writers have been saying from watching practice so far. That's cool. One read to Deontay Johnson is probably the way that's going to go. So, yeah. So I'm fine with that. I think, as long as the offense is somewhat competent, and the bar is low. It just has to be kind of where they were with Ben Roethlisberger. And if Kenny Pickett is looking to make quick, short throws, then I think Deontay Johnson can have a ton of targets once again. I just think the ceiling on Johnson in terms of yards per target, actually producing just an incredible wide receiver season, is maybe a little less enticing. But I am starting to think that, maybe Deontay Johnson should be going more like the early fourth. But I'm comfortable with Gabe Davis in the early to mid fourth as well. So it's much closer, but I'm still going Gabe.
One thing about Gabe and him being good and, Emmanuel Sanders being bad and John Brown before that was bad as well, you would think had he been good, he would play over a player who is bad. Because good is better than bad. But the coaches said, no, the bad one. Let's play the bad one over Gabe Davis, which is the only I'm taking a lot of Gabe Davis.
We have a long history of this, though, with day three guys having to prove it.
Yeah.
They prove it, and then they have to prove it again, and then they have to prove it again. Like we've seen it, and you see guys who are day three guys, they tend to emerge later in their careers. Some of them were like, basically the special, like Victor Cruz coming out of nowhere. I think he was undrafted, but there's something to, if you don't have the draft capital behind you, it generally takes more and more to kind of get the coach's trust. So it certainly seems like he has it now, though.
That's ironic you say that. His teammate Stephon Diggs is also a 5th-round pick.
Exactly.
He was nice out that gate, though. He was nice out the gate. It didn't take him long to figure out Stephon Diggs was that boy.
Well, they did trade him, Lawrence. They did trade him too.
They had to do what they had to do. Hey, look, a receiver getting traded nowadays that's just like normal life.
It's Tuesday, baby. That's Tuesday.
So he didn't have 1,000 yards until his third season, Stephon Diggs.
That could be Gabe Davis.
Fair. I did bill this as a three wide receiver position battle, ADP battle. That was inaccurate. I believe it was a 2-person battle between Deontay
Terry.
Johnson and Gabriel Davis, with Terry McLaurin just kind of standing on the sideline watching.
Yep.
He refereed this one.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.